Well, so what are we gonna do today, Cousin BW?
The same thing we do every day, Melvin. Try to take over the neighborhood.
Hey, y'all. Cousin Melvin here. Here to bring some
Melvin, what are you doing? I've told you to leave my stuff alone. Now get away from that.
I'm sorry, Cousin BW. I just seen the mic sitting there and I just couldn't help myself. I had to give it a try.
Well, leave that stuff alone. Just go over there and sit down out of the way or something. Besides, I got something serious to do today. Hey, folks. Bloodwing here. Today I want to do something a little bit different. You know, myself and others on, quote, our end of the internet, or YouTube, unquote, take a lot of feminists and social justice warriors and whatnot to task. And sometimes we get pretty tough on them, but I don't think I've ever been tough on anybody that did deserve it. But today I want to do something a little different. Today I want to look at somebody that was on that side and is now on our side and wants to talk about all the bad things that was going on with her being on the other side. So let's do something a little different. I want to take this a little more serious than usual, so I'm going to give Scooter the night off. And we'll just go to the video. I don't think I'll play the whole video, just parts of it. But this is one time I highly recommend you go over to this young lady's video and watch the whole thing. It's very enlightening. Go over there, give her a thumbs up, give her a subscribe if you like, encourage her, let her know that she's not alone. So, this young lady's name is Mae Has. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, sweetheart. And let's see what she has to say.
So she quit feminism? Well, at the very least, that ought to save her a butt ton of money on blue hair dye.
Melvin, hush. I told you we're being serious. Now go sit down.
Sorry.
Hey everybody, this is Mae. As you can see, I'm not wearing any makeup. My hair is kind of messy. And that's because for this video, I want to be as real and raw as possible because I think this topic is very important. And I know that a lot of people go through this, and I just want to talk about my experience. However, I want to try not to make this video extremely sad or anything like that. This is not about me being a victim. It's about me crawling out of a crippling depression that I had, and it's gonna end in a happy note as well.
Look, I know I put off the persona of a grumpy old man, and it's really not as much persona as it's really me. I am that grumpy old man. However, that does not mean I don't have a heart. I do. Matter of fact, people that know me well might tell you at times I have too much of a heart. And it doesn't mean that I don't understand other people's feelings. And I understand about depression. Went through it myself some couple of years ago. It's real. Clinical depression is real. It can greatly affect your life. And I'm glad to hear that this young lady is getting a handle on it.
However, there were a lot of factors to my clinical depression. I want to make that clear, that it's not radical feminism the only cause of why I had a really bad, major manic depression. I still have it. At times, it's just more controlled. Radical feminism seems to make it worse. And there is help. If you're going through this, please reach out. Please talk to somebody, because there's always a way out.
And I just want to emphasize here that, yes, if you're suffering from depression, do reach out. Do get some help. I tried to go through mine alone, and because I thought it was unmanly to look for help. But I was glad I finally did look for help. It brought me out of it in the long run. So yes, if you're suffering from it, get help.
However, getting involved in a movement that's as extreme as radical feminism, it might amplify your problems more than help. And the major reason why I wanted to join that movement was because of my depression. And it's because it was at first a very understanding and very coddling kind of movement. I had a lot of issues going on, a lot of traumatic things happened, and I'm going to talk about them in a later video, not here. But because of that, I wanted to seek out a more comforting place. Instead of, getting help and getting a therapist, I turned to feminism because it made me feel a temporary empowerment.
And I can understand this. I mean, we all know that feminism and other social justice warriors are all about the feels. They're going to be comforting and protect you, at least to begin with. And it gives them a common enemy, the male patriarchy, men. And it is a tactic used by not just feminism, but it's been used by a lot of groups in the past. I mean, Hitler himself used the Jews as the common enemy to get the Germans on his side in the early days. Making a common enemy and appearing to be nurturing is very attractive. So I can understand her being attracted to it and looking for a means to feel better about her depression.
And that's when the wrong people got their hooks on me, and they just fed me this garbage where I plan to be a victim forever. And I think the major reason why it made me so paranoid, it made me so angry and so depressed, is because it portrayed men as this evil force that I was never going to escape from because I had to face them every day, and that I was always going to be paranoid and miserable. So it led me to suicidal thoughts, it led me to self-harming. It was just a bad combination, especially for such a hateful kind of group to mix with a depressive mind and just telling you you're going to be a victim, you're going to use it as a crutch, the world has to accommodate to your needs and not the inverse.
And there we have it right there. I told you about the common enemy, man. She was taught to hate men. She was paranoid. And when you're paranoid, you're always looking for the worst in people, always looking for people to do something wrong to you. And this is what a lot of us have been saying all along. I mentioned in the last video, I think it was, that my mother taught me, and it's true, that if you always look for trouble, you're going to find it. If you're always looking for people to rape you, if you're always looking for people to oppress you, if you're always looking for people to sexually harass you, you're going to find it. Even if it's really not there, you're going to see that. And that kind of paranoia mixed with a depressed mind, that's a bad cocktail. And I have a pretty big suspicion that there's a whole lot of other girls mixed up in this radical feminism, just like her, and that's the reason they're in it, because they're looking for acceptance. And feminism, for all its faults, gives them that. Unfortunately, not all of them have their eyes opened to the evils that are inherent in this cause, like this young lady.
It was the illusion of empowerment when it was anything but.
Very well put, Mae. Very well put. That is exactly what it was. And that's exactly what we've been talking about. It gives you the illusion of being empowered, of taking control of yourself, when in actuality it's making you a perpetual victim. You know, I'm a huge proponent, if it isn't clear already, I'm a huge proponent of taking responsibility for oneself, self-responsibility, instead of always blaming others. Black Lives Matter blames the white man and the cops. Feminism blames the patriarchy. Trans tumblers or trans trenders, whatever you want to call them, they blame, you know, a misunderstanding that we're all racist and we're all sexist. They're all blaming somebody other than themselves. And if they would just take the time to look within themselves, quit playing the victim, take responsibility for their own actions, and realize that it's nobody else's fault what you do, say, or behave other than your own, there might be less of this out there in the world than there is today.
So when I went to United States, when I moved here for my studies, I finally thought that my depression was getting to a point where it was starting to scare me. So I went to get, you know, diagnosed. I went to a therapist and they gave me Zoloft pills. I'm just covering the address here. And I started feeling better. But I was still feeling these ups and downs, which is normal. When I detached myself from the feminist movement, knowing that it just caused me misery, it caused me being hateful and being judgmental with every single person, not only men, but every single person I met, I was just judging them. I was judging their language, I was judging how they expressed themselves, I was judging every single inch of their being. And I just took a look at myself and said, why?
And isn't that what feminism does? Just judges everybody and everything. You know, years ago when the Christian right was in power, so to speak, people disliked it because they thought they were too judgmental. So now they're no longer in power. Now we have the far other side of the spectrum to the left, and that's what they're doing. They judge everything that you do. I mean, you're not allowed to speak any way you want to. You can't address any way you want to. Heck, compared to some, or according to some of them, you can't even have sex any way you want to because you have to have consent every 10 seconds. You know, they are judgmental of everything that they do, and that's all they are. They're just a bunch of judgmental, blue-haired, angry, depressed women. You know, one thing I've come to find in life, and I would take my 56 years of experience of dealing with people over any gender studies degree that Christy Winters or any other might have. And I think that gives me a far better ability to understand how people work and how people get along. But I have always found that sometimes the people that are the angriest and the most vitriolic and so full of hate are those that really don't like themselves very much. And they're projecting that dislike on everyone else. They figure if they feel they're such a rotten person, a rotten human being, then everybody else must be that way too. At least that's what I've found.
Why am I putting people at this? Why am I judging them so harshly for just being themselves? When it's all said and done, I don't have the ultimate truth, and I don't have the most polished morals. So why should I judge them? And I just realized that besides my feminist circle, I didn't have any friends either that weren't following that mentality. So I reached to some other people who differed from that mentality, and I actually made friends and actually felt happier because they weren't judging me, they weren't policing my language, they weren't just being, they didn't have an agenda.
So she got herself out of the echo chamber, met some other people that didn't have these healthy, strong beliefs, and realized that she wasn't being judged as harshly. I hope that there's people out there, other people that are mixed up with this radical feminism, that are hearing this or hear her video and listen to it. Really listen to it. Open your minds. It's this judgmentalism, this compartmentalizing everybody in this one little tiny box that they have to fit in or they're terrible is bad for you. It's bad for your mental health. It's bad to live in paranoia. And that's what feminists, even those that are not so radical, live in a paranoia to some degree. They're always looking for bad. They believe that the world is terrible. They believe that it's awful. I personally choose to believe that yes, there's an awful lot of bad things happen in the world. There's an awful lot of good. People say that there's only two kinds of people. There's pessimists and optimists. But I believe there's a third, in which category I belong in, and that's a realist. When it sucks, and you just do what you can to get out of it. But when it's great, hey, that's great too. You just deal with life as it comes. And it's not as evil and as predatory as feminists would lead you to believe. And that mindset is just really bad for your mental health, people. If you don't listen to anything else and you're involved in feminism or any other of these things that we hear on this end of the YouTube fight against, listen to this. If you don't hear anything else, listen to what this girl is telling you. This kind of mindset is bad for your mental health.
They just wanted to be my friend because they liked me for me, and not because we were in the same clique or in the same movement. And that's when I started out, and I started to watch a lot of anti-feminist channels. And during that time, my depression got better. I started becoming more in control of it and learning how to cope with it. And one of the things that I learned is not to use it as an excuse. If I find something difficult, to push myself to get it. Yeah, there are going to be times there where I feel really bad, but I just have to take care of myself because I'm my best friend in that regard. I know me better than anybody, and I know how to take care of myself when I'm in that bad place.
Yep, personal responsibility. That's what's truly empowering, isn't it? Once you take responsibility and take control of yourselves, everything else will fall into place.
And to me, that was real empowerment because I had enough self-knowledge to survive in this world and to persist and not judge people. Just see myself. How am I going to survive here? And even if I have something that is really bad and I had no control with, or I got it because I had no control over what happened to me, I still had to find a way, and when I found a way, I slowly but surely escaped from it. But during that time where I was involved with radical feminism, it just made it worse because I was full of hate. And I hate admitting it. Kind of a contradiction there, but I never want to go back to that, ever. I love my life now, and I love my friends now. And I think one can go far either end. And the best thing to make you happy is finding that balance and finding people who will love you for your wit and for your intelligence, creativity, or any of these positive things, instead of just bonding over hate and spite. Because interestingly, I kind of check up on my ex SJW feminist friends once in a while. Like I check on their social media sites and stuff like that, just to see where they're at. And most of the time they are just posting the most rancid, bigoted opinions. And one of them, I found out that they still talk about me to others and with such hate in their voice, saying that they'll never forgive me, and they'll always live and bond with that hate for turning my back on them.
See, the thing is, Mae, those people were never really your friends, ever at all. It always blows my mind, these movements that are so called, quote, liberal, unquote, are the least liberal things in this world. To me, the word liberal would mean that you'd be more accepting of different ideas. But these groups, the feminism, the Black Lives Matter, the other SJW groups, the trans-trenders and all of those, they're not accepting of other ideas. It's their way, the highway. You have to accept their way or the highway. And some of you may say, well, your side of the coin is pretty rough too, and it's an echo chamber. And I disagree with you. We believe in egalitarianism. You know, she mentioned that people liked her for who she was and for her creativity. And yeah, because it wasn't just based on what your gender or your skin color was. It was who you are as a person. And that's what we're trying to get the other side to see. Most of us really aren't bad people. We just want to see this hate stopped, this mental confusion stopped, because we see it for what it really is. A terrible, hateful, spiteful, unyielding, most unliberal philosophy.
And I just feel immense sadness to live in such anger, such hate. So, if you're going through depression, clinical depression, I think the best way to do it is to get help. Like, get a professional's help. Don't rely on Tumblr for help. And I mean this to the bottom of my heart, and don't rely on Tumblr. And I know I sound ridiculous, but one thing that really frustrates me is that Tumblr paints itself as this utopia where everybody cares about each other when they're anything but. They're not experts in psychology. It is not okay to diagnose yourself. You gotta find help outside. Tell your family, tell your friends, the friends that you trust, go to a therapist. Don't go to Tumblr. Please. Don't do that. And I mean this, I know it sounds ridiculous because Tumblr is such a site where they're super cringy, but I promise you, Tumblr is full of false information, people who are extremely bitter about their lives, and they will tell you, oh, I love you, you're the best, you're the most beautiful person ever, but it's just shallow words. It's not going to fix anything unless you get real help from professionals. And of course, Tumblr starts to feed you with, no, the medical field is corrupt, it's sexist, and blah blah blah. Don't listen to them. Follow your instinct. Reach for real, tangible help. Because you don't know these people. know what's in their heads.
And there we have it, straight from the mouth of somebody that lived it. Tumblr is toxic. It's not a place to diagnose your emotional and mental maladies. Seek professional help, because Tumblr's only going to mess you up. Take it from her. She lived it. She knows what she's talking about. Get professional help if you have emotional or mental issues, such as her clinical depression. I mean, don't even take just my word for it. Go get professional help. Help from somebody that actually knows what they are talking about. Someone that actually has a degree outside of Tumblr.
That's what I wanted to say. Because I think it's an important topic that everybody who is involved with the feminist movement, or they're in a social circle that has a lot of feminists in it, to understand that. Because right now, feminism, social justice wars, they're coming from the internet. They are in academia, sure, but the internet is a much faster, much more elaborate source. So they're coming from there, third wave feminism. And you have to be very cautious with the information you get. There's a reason why people say get psychological help, and it's because most of the time, there are some people who it doesn't work for, and that's true. But most of the time it works. Most of the time it's proven by science that it works. And if a psychologist isn't for you, switch to another psychologist, or turn to your friends. Do anything that makes you feel a positive emotion and not paranoia or fear-mongering, or something that makes you consume and hate and make you rely on your victim status for pity points and to get what you want. It's only going to damage you. So that was my story. I know this is kind of a rehash of the why I'm not a feminist video, but I'm linking it more to what I was going through. I didn't want to talk about my depression in that video because I was kind of shy about it. But there's a lot of people that were like me out there. And I hope this reaches at least one of them.
For the sake of brevity, for the length of this video, this is all I'm going to show of the video now. She goes on to show some of her plush toys, some of the things that helps her to get through her depression. They're really cute. I recommend highly, again, that you go and watch this video for yourself. Go give this girl some likes. Go give her some internet hugs. Let her know that she's not alone and that she's made the right choices. And if you're involved in the things that she's got out of, and you're depressed and you're suffering from emotional and mental issues, listen to this girl. She's got it right. She's got a handle on it. Anyway, I thought I'd do something different. Do something a little more positive than usual. Hope you all enjoyed it. Again, I hope you go give this girl some love. And as always, get out of my yard.